afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Bench. I am Rocco Granado from InLacrosseWeTrust.com, and with me, as usual, from up in the balmy north of Toronto, Canada, is none other than Gary Groob. Gary, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Rocco. You know, the air conditioning is on polar, so, you know, we're trying to keep cool here.
Yeah, just don't put any water by it. You might get that lake effect.
Anything's possible right now. You know, this global warming thing is really warming.
Well, we just had a nice little thunder shower come through earlier this morning here, so it's crazy weather all over the place. We had heat waves going on. We have going on right now over in Netanya, Israel, the World Outdoor Games of lacrosse, and we're at halftime with the U.S. and Canada, with U.S. leading 6-4. So by the time everybody listens to this show, there will be a final. But what's very big right now is in exactly 27 hours and 17 minutes and counting, the very first pick of the expansion draft will take place, and that is owned by the new Philadelphia Wings. So it's a very exciting time right now for everybody in indoor lacrosse.
Yeah, I would say so. Everybody's got their mock drafts going. Everybody's got all kinds of different theories and thoughts on what they want to do. It's going to be interesting. Now we actually get to see the real stuff.
We get to see the real stuff. We get to see who's taken first, who's going to take chances. I mean, you had the crew at Relax over on NLL.com, Ashley and Tyson and Pat Gregoire do their little mock draft to see, who they would get. Somebody picked a goalie. One person did not pick a goalie at all. So there's, a lot of things going around. And I picked up a couple things by watching that. And when we're going to do our picks today. And I'm going to take Philadelphia. You'll have San Diego. And, one of the picks, you could send that pick back for some draft picks. So let's get right into it right now. Let's get deep into it. We're going by Evan's picks on his Evan Shamanauer's picks on who's the unrestricted free agents, the unprotected non-UFAs, and who the protected players are. And we'll get to see where we fall, how we're going to, pick the teams. So what I'm doing is, with my first pick, is I'm going with Kyle Matisse from the Georgia Swarm. We all know how Kyle's game is played. Not only is he transition, not only can he play defense, but he's also one heck of a scorer out there. Also, if need be, if Georgia really wants him back, remember, they're loaded on draft picks. So Philadelphia can go ahead and get a bunch of their draft picks if they want Kyle Matisse back and really start to build that way. But I think when they take Kyle Matisse, Paul Day knows his gameplay, how he plays. I don't see them sending him back, but Kyle Matisse would be my first pick in the expansion draft.
And I am going to go with Josh Courier myself. I think I have a very solid player there, and I can use him as trade bait. Yeah,
that's a big one right there as well. He was going to be one of my picks if he wasn't taken in the first couple, I would say. So my number 2 pick, and I mentioned this before, I was going to take him possibly as a number 1, but I'm going with Toronto's Rock's Brett Hickey as my number 2 guy right there. I think with him hopefully starting fresh, he can do something here in Philadelphia.
Right, and I would take one. I would take Adrian Sorchetti.
Oh, that was my third.
Saskatchewan. I think I would get myself a really good transition guy there. And I think I can build quite rapidly around him.
That was my third pick.
Oh, well.
So you fleeced me out of that one. You and Adrian, okay. Alright, so let's see, where am I going here? So let's see, so we have a Rochester, a Saskatchewan, Georgia, and Toronto. Remember now, once two players are picked from the same team, you can no longer pick from that team.
Right.
Let's see. My third pick. Yeah, by you doing that, you really screwed me up. Thanks. Let's see. Third pick. I'm trying to stay away from the unrestricted free agents. Trying to stay away from that. Let's see. I'm going to go Vaughn Harris for my third pick from Buffalo. That'll be my third pick. Young kid, has one hell of a shot, and I think after last season he might be looking maybe for a new home and getting together with a whole new team and growing there.
I'm going to go and I'm going to take Saskatchewan off of the market because I'm going to take my Dinsdale.
You're going to take Dinsdale. Okay, so Saskatchewan is no more. You're taking Dinsdale. Good pick. Okay, so no more Saskatchewan. Okay, so that leaves a fourth pick. So Vaughn Harris. That's one of the Buffalo guys gone. Let's see. There's too many of them out there, so I'm going to wait on that. You know what? We'll go to Colorado. And I'm going to take one Cam Holding.
You got my sneaker in there. Yeah, okay.
Well, I'll trade you Holding for Courier.
If his knee is 100%, right?
What?
You've talked to him to see if his knee is 100%, yeah?
Yeah, even if it's not, I'm still taking him right now.
All right.
I want him on this team.
Very good. And I'm going to take the first goalie of the bunch, and I'm going with Zach Higgins.
You're going Higgins. Okay, so that takes out Buffalo, so Buffalo is no more. Okay. So our first goalie was taken. With Higgins, yeah, that is a good pick because he's never really had a shot to play full time, we'll say, on teams. From going when the Swarm was in Minnesota, then to Georgia, then over to Buffalo. He's just been getting slot time. Never really getting that solid start. And then when DeRuscio went down and then Alex Bouquet started struggling, he really showed a lot. And I wondered why they just didn't keep him in the rest of the time. I never understood why they went back to Bouquet. He was playing great, holding his own with no problem. And they go ahead and they put Bouquet back in, and we all know what happened at that point. And I'm trying to look here because we're going so quick on here. Higgins, he is the only two UFAs are Steinhaus and O'Brien. Okay, so Buffalo is off the board, so that brings me to my fifth pick, so it can't be Saskatchewan or Buffalo. I think. Let's see who's out there. Nobody else I really like there. This is the tough. The fifth pick always seems to be the toughest right now. Because I can go two ways on this. But I think what I'm going to do, and I'm going to regret if I don't do it. Take Toronto off the board. I'm going Damon Edwards. I'm agreeing with Evan on this one.
Okay. And I'm going to take Colorado off the board because I'm going to go Ryan Lee.
Good pick. Okay. Okay, so Saskatchewan, Buffalo, Toronto, and Colorado are off the board. Not one pick from Vancouver yet. Gee, I wonder why. He said Ryan Lee, okay. Okay, now we got number 6, so let's see. Cam Holding's gone. Higgins, he's out. Okay. 6th pick. Going to go with a goalie. And, it's really a toss-up, but you know what? I'm going to go, no. What is his set? I think he's a UFA in general. So there's no guarantee that. Yeah, he's unrestricted. So no, I'm not going to go there with the goalie because there's no guarantee that the UFA will sign when he's picked. But oh man, let me think.
Ready?
I hate this. That's why I'm glad I'm not picking out here. You know what? I think I'd be able to sign him. I'm going to go Aaron Bold as my goalie. He won't have to do a whole heck of a lot of flights, so to speak, because you most likely can get a direct flight from Edmonton to Philadelphia, and you don't have a 4-hour drive to the arena from the airport. You got about a 4-minute drive. So that's the first New England player taken.
And I'm going to take Chad Cummins, a nice 6'5", 260-pound strapping defenseman from Calgary.
Ooh, okay. Okay, so we have Calgary has one more to go. We haven't touched Vancouver yet. We still got New England has one left. Who else is up there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Who else haven't we touched yet? Oh, Georgia still has another to go. Am I correct in that or no?
Yes, I do.
Georgia still has one more. And who else is out there? 1, 2, 3, 4. What team are we missing?
Calgary still has another one to go.
I have them.
Nighthawks still have another one to go.
That's right. That's who I'm missing. Okay. And Rochester has 1. Okay, so that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, and Vancouver 6. Okay, so they're the teams that are left. Okay. All right, my 7th pick. Well, let's take Captain. Is he? I didn't jot down whether or not he was or not. I think he is. Let's see. No, he's a non-UFA.
Where are you going with this, Rocco?
I'm going Tyler Digby from Calgary.
All right.
Local kid from Pennsylvania. Even though he had a bad year, I think there's something still there with him.
Alrighty.
Bring him back east because he was once with New England for a brief cup of coffee.
And I am going to go with Jordan Hall.
That was my next pick.
Georgia.
Okay, so Calgary and Georgia are off the board.
Right, I am most likely going to slap a C on him.
Not a bad idea. A temporary C, we'll say, because you know there's going to be a lot of free agent signings coming along.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. So we have New England, Rochester, and 2 Vancouvers to go. Why do I have a funny feeling we're going to be picking Vancouver at the very, very end?
Probably.
Let's see. So who we have? Okay, you went Courier on Rochester, so he's out of the picture.
Yeah.
I do like what Frank Brown did in the playoffs. He played phenomenal with his time in there. But I'm going to go off that board and I want Corey Vitarelli.
Alrighty.
I think he's a good feeder out there. And he gets you those goals when needed.
Okay.
So Rochester is done.
And I'm going to go with Anthony Joachim out of New England.
Ah, okay. Let me see how to spell that last name. That's not your easiest name to spell. Huh, I had it right. Okay, so we each have a pick left, and that just leaves the Vancouver Lacrosse Club, because they are no longer called the Stealth. We have the Vancouver Lacrosse Club, and let's get up to where they are at. And let's see, I did have him jotted down. I don't know if I want to go that way. Because I've been saying Casey Jackson and Seth Oakes. But I think that whole team's going to be one big shake-up. Brandon Cleveland, he won't move. I'm going to go Evan Messenger for my final pick. A lot of talent to pick from there, isn't there?
Oh yeah. Wonder why they finished last, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going with Seth Oaks myself.
Seth Oaks. Former Black Wolf. Okay. Now, those are the picks. For Philly, you have Kyle Matisse, Brett Hickey, Vaughn Harris, Cam Holding, Damon Edwards, Aaron Bold is the goaltender, Tyler Digby, Corey Vitarelli, and Evan Messenger. And for San Diego, you selected Josh Courier, Adrian Sorichetti, Marty Dinsdale, Zach Higgins, Ryan Lee, Chad Cummings, Jordan Hall, Anthony Joaquin, and Seth Oaks. Now, Gary, earlier in the week, I talked to Garrett Thole. He just, he happened to make a comment on my Wings jersey, and we had like a little friendly conversation. And I joked around with him saying, it would have really been great if it was a number 99. His response back to me was, "Well, you never know." So I kind of sent him some private messages, and he told me that he said that he was an unrestricted free agent. But according to Evan, he has here that he is a non-UFA.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know. According to Garrett, he's an unrestricted free agent, but Evan has him as a restricted free agent, a non-UFA. So I don't know what's what, but if he is an unrestricted free agent, he did say that if Philly wants him, he would come out of retirement to play. So he could be that power forward, that Jake Berge type that Philly had before, and watching him play, the time that he did play, big, strong, hard shot. I think he would fit back well in here.
The only thing I can say is invite him to camp, and I'm sure things will be interesting.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He's, like I said, he's saying he's an unrestricted free agent, and like I said, Evan has him down as a non-UFA. So he's not, according to him, he's not unrestricted. So don't know. We have to see what's there. I tend to believe the player somewhat because I think they would know their status. I'm not saying that I don't believe Evan, but I'm going by what Garrett told me what his status was.
Right.
But yeah, all this gets underway tomorrow at 4:30 on NLL.com. They will be televising it on their site. So we'll get to see who will Philly's first official wing player. Who will that be? We already know who San Diego's is.
Yeah, you have Kyle Buchanan sitting there waiting.
Kyle Buchanan is just waiting for other players. Now, would you give Jordan Hall the C over Kyle Buchanan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I would. His track record is long-standing that everywhere he goes, he makes the team better.
Yeah.
He's a leader in every aspect of the game. Just take a look at what happened with Georgia when he came back to them this past year.
Yeah.
The moment he came back, they became from floundering to a viable playoff team.
Not only a viable playoff team, a team that could have possibly won the cup again.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, it was just unbelievable the turnaround that they did. Now,
plus, he's a big, strong body and a savvy veteran. And I want that, especially if I'm relying on the draft to fill out the rest of my slots. That with some some free agent signings. So I need somebody who can make this room cohesive, and he's my guy.
Yeah, and the free agent signing, I believe, starts on August 2nd, August 3rd, somewhere in that 2-day area there. So we'll get to see who gets picked off the free agency board. Obviously, you could take a restricted free agent as well, and that's where you could tender them an offer, and the team has 72 hours to match that offer. Again, for those in Philadelphia that were hoping to see Kevin Crowley come back this year, he was franchised along with Kalen Crawford, I do believe, because they both have asterisks next to their name.
That's correct.
So they were both franchised. Brett Manny is still under contract as far as for the defensive end, so there could always be a trade there. But I don't think they're going to trade for him this year. They might, after his contract runs out, I think after this next season, they could always sign him as an unrestricted free agent.
I don't believe Brett Manny has made any noise saying that he wants to be moved or wants to move.
No, but
in fact, to the contrary.
Right. Well, but Brett is also the type of player that wherever he knows the nature of the game, the nature of the business, and if Philly trades for him and comes back, he's not going to tell them no.
No, of course not.
Yeah,
of course not. I don't think he's going out of his way to be part of that team now.
No, but if he gets, nobody says, "Oh, I want to go and play for Philly." I'm pretty sure, like Kyle Matisse is happy where he is in Georgia right now, but he's left unprotected now. It's like, okay, chances are I'm going to go somewhere, but who knows? Maybe I'll come back, via trade. Same thing goes with Manny and Crowley and anybody else. They could be traded for at any time. So have to wait and see. I mean, when Brett was here in Philly, he was, the constant professional. Okay, he got that crowd going. He gave and left everything out on the floor, and he's doing the same thing in New England. Philly fans here, me specifically, along with some others, would love to see him back here. And he's not going to say, no, I don't ever want to come back to Philly. But he is under contract, and it would constitute a trade. And truthfully, I don't see Philly really trading for him, in all honesty. I would think they would wait until he would be a free agent, or New England would say, hey, we're putting, this player up on the board for a trade. Are you interested? So we'll just see what happens. One never knows, but like I said, I don't see him in the uniform this year, just like, with Crowley being franchised. But Kyle Matisse and Jordan Hall being selected, me picking Matisse, you picking Hall, that's really going to knock Georgia down a couple pegs, I think.
I think so, but one of two things. One, they can trade back for picks like you'd mentioned.
Yes.
Number two, they have a number of first-round picks to go and fill these spots.
Right. So what if you're Georgia? What do you do? Do you say, okay, hey guys, great, thanks for your service, and use those draft picks and hope that they could jump right into the flow of things? Or do you try to get Matisse back or Hall? I don't think you'd be able to get both of them back.
I personally would. I like Kyle Matisse, and I would spend my draft pick or whatever I can finagle out of that to get him back, because I think that he can be a very valuable piece, both offensively and transitionally. And being he's a gazelle and a very tall one at that, he can cover an awful lot of the floor and not an awful lot of time.
Exactly.
And I think that's very, very valuable, especially for the kind of offense that Georgia runs.
Right. Now, you were Georgia. You have to offer something now for that, okay? Number one pick in the expansion draft with the talent that he has, Philadelphia obviously wants to build a strong team.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Matisse is a very, very big part of it, as you mentioned. Just his athletic ability, everything that he can do, from offense to defense to transition to speed. I mean, like you said, he glides like a gazelle. Okay? I mean, he's down the floor in no time. So, if they want him back, it's going to take more than just a pick, one of the first round picks. I think it's going to take a few picks plus another player.
Very possibly.
I mean, and in all honesty,
but if it goes that steep, then I'm just going to go to the draft or to free agency.
Yeah, and in all honesty, if I'm Paul Day and I'm Philadelphia, I ain't letting him go. Basically, here's what I would tell them. You want Matisse back? Give me a draft pick and a Thompson, Lyle or Miles. And if they sit there and laugh, then you can say, exactly. Because,
well, considering I expect Georgia to go out and get Jeremy to put the four brothers together, I don't think they're giving away a Thompson.
Right, exactly. Yeah, well, yeah. But my point there was, what they're not going to give you, so that's your way of saying, hey, look, the only way you're getting him is this. If it's anything else, forget it. Because this is the player that we want. You left him unprotected. This is, who we wanted. I mean, I'm looking at who they protected, and some of the names, you could say, we protected. I'm trying to think why Brian Cole, or maybe even Jesse King. I would keep Kyle Matisse more than I would the other two on that draft, on that protected list.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with you got Chad Tutton, Connor Sellers. The Thompsons are staying, so don't even touch that. You're keeping Poole in. Jason Noble. I don't know. Some of the names I would, I would have kept Matisse, but they left him out there, and they're not. I doubt Philly would want to trade him away on that. And then you went with Josh Courier, getting him from Rochester. And that San Diego could obviously really use that as trade bait.
Yes, very much so.
And they just may do that. I mean, who knows what'll happen. I mean, that's...
But in Curry, remember, you've got a player who easily could have gone first pick in the first round last draft too.
Yeah.
But he did go third, so yeah.
Who knows?
Still
maybe
a very viable player. So
yeah. Who knows? Maybe they want to keep him out there.
Mm-hmm.
If they end up going that route. What would losing Brett Hickey do to Toronto?
At the moment, not much. A couple of years ago, I would have said that would have been the be-all, end-all. But over the last 2 years, his production has gone way, way down. I don't know if it's him. I don't think so. But I think it's not fitting into the offensive scheme in there, though he's a big body.
So maybe in a different offensive scheme, he may be able to flourish like the Brett Hickey of old.
Well, yeah, because he was having that trouble in Vancouver, and then he came to Toronto, and all of a sudden he set fire.
Right.
So I'm thinking that, he definitely could be a good part of an offense. Again, you need somebody who's going to, bang around in front of the net, and he's your guy.
Yeah.
Now, what's it going to do to Toronto? I don't think it's going to do all that much, to tell you the truth. I think Toronto has other issues that they have to work on and revamp. And he wasn't getting full-time playing time anyways. So this might be the best for all parties considered.
Yeah, and he'd still be on the East Coast. So it's not, anything where he's got to travel all the way out west or anything like that. He's still on this side. And then also, we mentioned him with Toronto. My selection of Damon Edwards. There's a big body right there.
That one hurts. That one does hurt. because transitionally, another gazelle.
Yep.
The only knock on Damon that I have, and he's a great guy, he's a great character guy, he's a great dressing room guy, is his shot selection when he does actually make it down the floor. 8 times out of 10, he's wide. The other 2 times he gets goals.
Right.
But more times than not, he's firing wide when he gets those transition turnarounds.
Right. Well, maybe you could turn that around this year, but
very possibly.
Yeah.
But I like that pick, and I'm very sorry to see him, technically to see him leave.
Yeah, that would be, huge for Philly to get a player like him, especially if you pair him up with Kyle Matisse out there.
Right away, you have yourself a really good transitional team, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and that's what killed the old Philly team. Their transition game was never that much on point, we'll say. It took them forever to get the ball down the floor and get the offense out there, and they never had the transition game here. Players like the caliber of Matisse or Edwards to go from defense to offense and actually stay on the floor. They always got the ball, got it over the center line, and started bringing players onto the floor. And then before you know it, you're down to about 10 seconds to go on the shot clock.
Yeah, exactly.
With Edwards and Matisse, if you have them both on the floor, you technically have 2/5 of your offense out there. At most, even if it's just Matisse or just Edwards alone, you have one part of your offense out there. So hopefully that would really help. Let's see. We go down. We have San Diego. We got Sorichetti and Marty Dinsdale for the second and third picks.
And obviously, like both players, I think both are character players. I think Sorchetti's going to be a very, very valuable player. Also, he doesn't mind doing the traveling. So right away, that's a decent one. Dinsdale is one who is the most underrated player I think Saskatchewan has. And right down to, I believe, winning the Cup a couple of years back on his goal. Against Toronto, of all things,
yeah.
But he's always doing the work that doesn't technically make the stat sheets. And so I think he's a very valuable player as well. And I think he will fit in to a Patrick Merrill kind of team very easily.
Yeah. And then we got down to I go Cam Holding on Colorado for my fourth.
Again, that comes down to his knee.
Yeah.
Obviously, they will have talked to him beforehand and tested it before they would do it. But, if he's healthy, it's a damn good pick.
Yeah, and if he's not healthy...
Well, they're not going to make that pick.
Right, yeah. And then, if that's the case, like I said, I don't know if it's healthy or not. So if the knee is a question, I would probably then go, because he was on Colorado. I would probably go Bryce Sweeting if that was the case. Mm-hmm. I would take him if the knee is not up for it. But we'll say I think the knee, even if it's not up for it, I think he'll be okay with everything coming through. Now, for goalies, you went with Zach Higgins. You kind of beat me to the punch on that one, because that's where I was going to go. But I went Damon Edwards before that. So you got Higgins, and we talked about him never really getting a full opportunity out on the floor. Because with other teams, it was kind of mop-up duty or coming in when somebody was hurt. And we both agree that when Bouquet came back, when he was in that little bit of a slump, he got hurt or what have you, and then Higgins jumped in net, why they kept on putting Bouquet back in is something that I never really understood. I just never understood that when Higgins was playing hot. If it's not broke, you don't fix it.
Yeah, I had the same impression.
And I think Buffalo could have went a little bit further than what they did if they would have kept Higgins in the net the rest of the way. I really do. But we all know what happened there. Then my pick, even though he is an unrestricted free agent and I run the risk of possibly losing him should Edmonton come back the following season. I took Aaron Bolt.
Depending on the contract you come together with, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And that's the thing. I'm hoping to get him signed for at least 3 years, a 3-year deal with him.
If you could do that, then even if an Edmonton team were to come back, then you can fleece them for their picks, trading him out there. So
bingo.
It's a win-win.
Yes. And did you happen to see his Twitter post?
Yeah, I posted it up both on our page and on Lax Philly.
The boy's jacked.
He's primed and ready.
Yeah, you think?
He owns 2 gyms in the Edmonton area, right?
My God. Give him a short stick. Don't put him in net. My God. It's just unreal. I had to do a double take. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, primed and ready.
Yeah. So if Philly can get him a good contract, you definitely keep him because, like I said, last year with him going to New England, there was I don't know if there was a lot of travel problems, but there's no main airport in Connecticut. Like no major size airport. You're basically flying into Boston. And then you got to do a drive from Boston into Uncasville, Connecticut. Here in Philly, you can go from Edmonton to Philly. I believe they have direct international flights for that. And the airport to the Wells Fargo Center is literally about a 9-minute drive. A 9-10 minute drive. So I think that would be perfect. Here, Philly would also have a solid goaltender.
Yeah, most definitely.
Then all you would have to do is that, the past few years, that's something that really hasn't been there. when Philly was here the last few years. So you'd have the solid goaltending there. You got solid transition. You got some offense out there. Now you go down your 1, 2, 3, 4. Your 5th and 6th picks, you go Ryan Lee and Chad Cummings.
Yep. I've got a really good offensive player and a really good defensive player. I've talked about Cummings before. You're talking about a really big body at 6'5", 240, 250 pounds, who is a very versatile player as well. A good dressing room guy. According to Kurt Malosky, will do anything for the team that's asked of him. Can bang around, can play as rough and tumble as you want, but also has good hands to be finesseful. So I think that's a very, very good defensive choice, stay-at-home defenseman. Ryan Lee, ironically, the Brampton Excelsiors traded Ryan Lee for Chad Cummings, as well as other moving parts. So I tend to know both players fairly well. Ryan Lee, I was sorry to see go out of Brampton, and he's really helping the Coburg team out right away with the offensive prowess. He's a decent player. He's never going to be the top of your scoring sheet, but he's going to be a game in, game out player that's going to get you points and going to help with setup. And I think he's a good piece to the puzzle here.
And now, my 7th pick, I went with Tyler Digby. Now, Evan put up there that he had a down season this year. Tyler Digby was also taken by the New England Black Wolves when they came in. Down year this past season, but being a local product from the Pennsylvania area, I see him fitting right in. I mean, this is not only a good player who can pick up his game, because he's still young. He's not, on the downside of anything whatsoever. But he also gives you that local flavor to really, grow the game, get the word spread about the game of lacrosse, and in Philly and camps and over at the schools and things of that nature.
Yeah, I think he's a very good pick, and he's proved himself in Calgary. So I think he's gonna sit well in the Paul Day theory of things, and getting him there in the 7th round, I think is a pretty good pick.
Yeah. Now your 7th pick could almost cripple. No, I wouldn't say almost cripple them, but it does take a lot away from them from Georgia, and you're slapping that C on that sweater right away. And I agree with you on this completely, Jordan Hall.
What I think I did was I cut the heart out of Georgia.
Yeah.
And I just infused the heart into the San Diego team, and I think I just also gave the leadership that sometimes Kyle Buchanan does need, because as good a player, and he's having a fantastic summer over in Peterborough, but at times, as we've seen on New England, he can disappear. I don't think that happens when Jordan Hall is on the floor there with him.
Right.
I think as Jordan Hall being your quarterback and completely organizing everything out there, I think that this is exactly what a player like Kyle Buchanan would need day in, day out to keep him on point. And then he's going to be very dangerous.
Yes, that's a really good point. And like you said, that basically takes the heart out of Georgia right there, because as everybody saw, we saw how they played without him, and then the moment he came back, what happened?
Yeah, all of a sudden, boom, there they are.
Yeah, they're right back.
From the first game onward, they were a different team.
Yeah, completely different altogether. I mean, they're still going to have, Joel White, Ethan O'Connor. You still got the Thompsons there, Randy Stotts, Jordan McIntosh, Shane Jackson. You still got those players, but taking the likes of a Jordan Hall is really going to be something that they have to find somebody that has that drive. And I'm sure the other players on there have it, but not like Jordan Hall does. Wherever he goes, that's how he plays.
Now, I do like your next pick with Vitarelli. I think you got another year or 2 years left in the tank there at what he does now, and I think that's all they really need out of him to get the ship running in the right direction.
Yeah.
And it goes without speaking of what he can mean to a team, because he's been such a valuable entity for Rochester for years. I think if he brings that same prowess to the Philadelphia organization, he mixes completely with the Paul Day theory of things, that blue-collar idea, and muck it up and get it done.
And Paul Day coached him when he was at Rochester.
Yeah.
So he knows exactly what Vitarelli has in the tank and what he is very capable of doing out there on the floor. Not taking anything away from Frank Brown. He was right there as was one of my picks. I was going in between. He showed a lot in the playoffs, but obviously seen a whole lot more play from Corey Vitarelli and what he can do on that floor. As a feeder, as a goal scorer. Always the type of player to get in the corner and muck it up and grind it. Not worried about a scraped knee or a rug burn. Okay, he's one to get on there. He has no problem walking out of the locker room with Band-Aids all over, wraps all over his knees or legs. So that's why
he's a warrior.
I went that route.
He'll fit in right into the city. He'll fit in right into the play and right into Paul Day's system. So, yeah, I think he's a really good pick.
Now, your next pick is a player that really hasn't gotten a lot of playing time lately. Anthony Joaquin from New England.
Now, in the summertime, again, he plays for Brampton, and he's a fantastic transition guy. He's good for a couple of points a game. He was a first-round pick in the NLL draft, 8th overall. He was St. Joseph, so you guys are well aware of him in Philadelphia.
Yep.
Short stick defensive midfielder. So he's very aware of how to get things done. He's another one that can muck it up if he needs to. He prefers to take the ball up the floor and pass it off, so he can get everything set up in the right way transitionally. He's also a solid defenseman, can get back into the play. So again, I think that this on the back end is going to be a very viable thing for Patrick Merrill and his squad to form things around. And he's not known for his injuries either, right?
No.
Yeah. As far as I remember, in St. Joseph's University, he played in all 62 games that he played there, which ties him for second in program history.
Yeah.
In career games. So over his 4-year career. Now he also totaled 140 ground balls, 35 caused turnovers, as well as 26 points as a defender. So these are all very, very interesting stats that I think will help out the SEALs organization.
Yeah, and he'll also get a good bit of playing time on there. When you become a product of the numbers, so to speak, it's it's kind of hard to crack the lineup when you have the other players that are on that team. Mm-hmm. You just got to do what you can do and try to take advantage of every chance possible.
Yeah, and like I said, I think there's a definite need for what he does, so I think he'll fit in very nicely.
Now, our last picks, they both came from Vancouver. Vancouver went, I believe, 2-16 this season. There was a fair amount of players to take. We both stayed away from the unprotected UFAs because you could always just get them on August 2nd or August 3rd. Just bring them in and sign them. One name that surprised me that was up there was Pat Saunders.
Yeah, no, I saw that as well. But I think about his track record.
Yeah.
But I stood right away from that.
Yeah, it's just another player that when he did that when he was here in Philly. He started playing well, then he kind of went in hiding. Went to Buffalo, started playing well, went into hiding. Vancouver, the whole team never really played well, but when he did whatever he could do, then he went into hiding. His game went into hiding, I'll say. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe maybe it's the other players around him, or maybe it's just his game. I don't know. Maybe he gets himself down when the team doesn't play well. Mm-hmm. So I kind of stayed away from him there. You had Reed Mitsky that was out there. Casey Jackson was out there. I was tempted to go with a second goaltender and go with Ty Bellinger.
Yeah, I thought briefly about going with Casey Jackson, but again, I stayed away from that too.
Yeah. I even looked at Brandon Cleland, but we know he's a
plumber out there in Vancouver area, so
right. So
he might have made a trip out to San Diego. I don't think he would be going to Philadelphia.
Right. So that's why I stayed away from that there. You had James Ray out there, Brendan Fowler, Jarrett Toll, John Lintz. But what I ended up doing is I went with Evan Messenger, a player with a lot of upside to his game.
Now I went with Seth Oakes, and with him you have a rough and tumble offensive player who is both good at field and box, but he prefers the indoor game. And in his own words, the indoor game is my love. It's rough. I like that stuff. Refs don't call every little thing that happens. I like to play rough. I like to hit. I like to score. I like to run into people. Well, I think that'll do very well.
Wow.
For a loose ball, I'll do anything. So, again.
That sounds like a Philly guy to me.
We can get the opportunities. And if I have a couple of scorers in there, I'm already, 2/3 of the way there. But I think, again, another player that will, in a quicker kind of offense, I think he'll be able to do that. If it turns into a game which is going to be a grinder, I have him for that as well. Whereas Buchanan, I don't see him going and grinding as much. Paul, yes. Oakes, yes. And I think we're on a good start.
He almost sounds like a Philly type of guy with the way you described him there.
Oh, yeah, well, he did the Onondaga thing and all the rest of it, and you know how they come out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe
Iroquois himself, came out of the Mohawk Indian Reservation. So, yeah, he knows how the game is supposed to be played.
All right. Now, obviously, these are just our picks. This is our mock draft. We don't know what the teams are going to do, but yeah, we're trying to put our own thing together just to see what's who'll come out with those picks. We're not saying this is how be in order, but let's see how many we get right on this. Maybe Aaron Bold won't be taken 6th; he might be taken 4th. And same thing with we can say with Jordan Hall. Maybe not 7th, but he might be taken 3rd by San Diego. Maybe they want to get somebody like that right away, fearing that maybe Philly might go after Hall, because he was once he was here before, and he's mainly been on the East Coast. So we'll see how all this pans out. That'll be happening tomorrow at 4:30 on NLL.com. I don't know if it's going to be on NLL TV or just on the NLL.com website. But I didn't see anything about that you have to have NLL TV to watch it. So I think they're going to have it there, and I'm pretty sure good chance of the Philadelphia Wings Facebook page might even have it shown live on their end from here. But that's what we're looking at for the draft tomorrow. I haven't heard anything as far as how the combine went, the first combine. But they're...
I haven't heard a word of it either.
Yeah.
But then again, there's been an awful lot of things in the news with the World Indoors or World Outdoors going on.
Yeah.
Netanya, Israel. It was an interesting game yesterday when Canada beat Scotland 22-3, and it actually turned rather chippy near the end. But it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, and it was great to see the Iroquois national team getting in, and unfortunately, the U.S. beat them 17-9 the same day that they stepped off the plane. I believe it was an 11-hour flight that they had. They had a long flight there, and by the time they got there, they didn't really have that much time to rest before they had to play. So that kind of, I guess, after being on a plane for so long, you're trying to...
Yeah, trying to get your time zones and everything else. Yeah, it's never easy.
Yeah, trying to get the feet underneath them. And a couple of things I noticed. As we're doing this guy. I'm watching the game, the USA Canada game, and it's tied 9-9. Fill me in here, and I probably know it, and it's just not clicking in my head. They have the jerseys for Chris Sanderson, his number 17, on the bench. For Kyle Miller, who was the goalie, number 35. Both unfortunately passed away from cancer.
And let's not forget Huntley.
5 years ago. Right.
Dave Huntley on the bench as well.
Is that the number 18?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, that's what I wasn't sure. I was trying to figure out where the 18 was coming from, and that's what it is. So, kudos to Team Canada putting those 3 jerseys on their bench. If you're watching it on ESPN, ESPN2 or ESPN Plus or TSN, wherever you may be, they have their white Canadian jerseys out, and you see them from left to right, 17, 18, and 35, which is, it's kind of funny because if you add 17 plus 18, you get 35.
Mm-hmm.
as freaky as that can be. So, they're paying homage to 3 very big parts of their Canadian national team. So, that's what we have for the draft. Gary, real quick, anything going on in the MSL?
We're winding down. There's a couple weeks left of the season. Tonight you have Brampton visiting Coburg. Brampton just played their most complete game of the year, shellacking the Brooklyn Redmen, who are feeling the pinch of having a few of their big players out in Israel right now. Teams that are affected by this, I think, will be Peterborough as well. It really it affected them because when you don't have a Mark Matthews on the floor, that changes around the whole offensive structure. And Brampton took full advantage. I'm curious to see how they play Coburg tonight, because Coburg's lost one of their leading scorers, and Luke Liskewitz, who is playing for the Scottish team.
Right.
And he actually got a goal at the Canada-Scotland game yesterday. So I'd be interested, because you still have a couple of scorers there for Coburg. So you have Joey Caputo there.
Now, how many games do they play in the MSL?
18.
18. Okay. So
there's a couple more to go.
Yeah. So Peterborough still has 6 to go. Oakville still has 8 more to go, but they're 8 points behind Peterborough.
Yeah, they had a rough week last week, and Peterborough took them to the woodshed back on Thursday.
Yeah. Now
they had one good period where they were tied after one, and the rest of the game pretty much was Peterborough.
Now, granted, Oakville has 2 games in hand. If they can get victories on them, they kind of cut the lead from 8 to 4, which gives them a shot. So those 2 games are still huge, but that game against Peterborough, they really needed to win that to really help their cause.
Now in OLA Junior A, you have the playoffs going on there, and we actually have one team that's already made it through to the next round. The Orangeville Northmen have won their series against the Whitby Warriors 3-0, so they'll be advancing. The Beaches, Toronto Beaches, which actually has Josh Dalwick on the team, they had an upset win last night against Burlington. They're leading that series 2-1. St. Catharines is doing what St. Catharines normally does, because they finished in the league first. They have been chopping away at the Six Nation Arrows. They're up 2-0, and they're playing their 3rd game tonight at 7 o'clock in St. Catharines. And the Brampton-Mimico series is, like it always is, what a rivalry. And they're tied 1 game apiece right now. And Mimico came up with a big win at home on Friday night. Tomorrow night, I will be at the game up in Brampton to watch it and see how Brampton fares. Because remember, Brampton's lost their number one player, right, who is leading, I believe, leading the entire tournament in scoring with Jeff Teat.
Jeff Teat, right.
He's been lighting it up there, more as a setup man than as a scorer. But I think he wound up with a goal, 7 assists yesterday. So he's feeling very, very comfortable.
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah. But his scoring punch. It's also interesting too because I was actually with one of the executives from Brampton yesterday, and we were talking about it. Having Mike Hazen behind the bench instead of Dan Teat, we're seeing different styles all of a sudden. Whereas instead of getting the ball to Clark Peterson, who is the number 2 scorer on that team, it seems to be going to Jason Seitz, who is also a very viable scorer. But Peterson needs to be shooting. He needs to be taking this and taking Teat's spot in what's going on.
Right.
This series shouldn't be close, and it's a whole lot closer than I thought it would be. So I'd be curious to see tomorrow night which Brampton team comes out and starts firing. Because the only real viable player that I can see on Mimico, and believe me, he lights it up real well, is Jonathan Donville, and he's been an absolute juggernaut for the last couple of years. And the team goes as he goes. So if Brampton is silly enough to let him free, they deserve what they get.
Right.
And Kevin Orlman's brother, Stephen, is the goalie for Brampton, and he's probably the best goalie in the league there. And it was a great coup at the trade deadline to pick him up, so now it's time to earn the salt. You know?
Right. Yeah, and over in the WLA, all things being considered here, it almost looks like the top 4 for the playoffs are just about clinched, we'll say, because you got New Westminster leading the league with 22 points with an 11-3 record, Victoria 9-4 with 18 points, Maple Ridge 8-4-1 with an overtime loss for 18 points also, and Nanaimo 7-5-1 with one overtime loss with 16 points. They play 18 games here as well, but the next closest team right now is Burnaby. They have 13 points, and both them and Nanaimo have 4 games remaining. So Burnaby is 3 points out of that final playoff spot. As far as Langley and Coquitlam, Langley is still mathematically in it, but if Nanaimo gets another point or even 2 points, that'll wipe them right out of it. And Coquitlam is 2-12. They only have 4 points. They're not even going to get out of the basement in the WLA this year. So Langley is hanging on by a thread right now to make the playoffs. So Burnaby is the Burnaby Lakers is the only contention here for Nanaimo, and they're only 5 points behind Maple Ridge as well. So, and all 3 of those teams have 4 games remaining. Victoria has a game in hand over everybody, especially New Westminster. So a win there will bring them within 2 points with just a handful of games to go. And let me see if there's what's tonight. Oh, here you go. Nanaimo is at Maple Ridge. That's tonight. 9:45 our time, 6:45 out there on the West Coast. Nanaimo beat Burnaby last night, 12-7. Victoria beat up on Burnaby the night before. Not beat up, but they beat them 11-9. The normal games. New Westminster beat Langley 15-8. So a lot of those scores just happening and taking care of it. I mean, Coquitlam's been in games as well, even though they only have 2 wins. They lost to Maple Ridge 7-5. Burnaby beat the living heck out of them on Tuesday, though, 14-4. So it kind of goes from one extreme to the next with them. But a big game tonight. You got Nanaimo at Maple Ridge. Nanaimo has 16 points, so a win there will move them. Will move them in a tie with Maple Ridge, both with 8-5-1 records. So that's a very big game there to move up from 4th to 3rd. because then who would you rather play, New Westminster or Victoria? The lesser of two evils, you end up in fourth. You're going to New Westminster.
And that's about where it ends.
Yeah, because New West is 6-1 at home, and so is Victoria. So all these teams, the top 4 teams, are playing very well at home. New West is 6-1, Victoria is 5-1, Maple Ridge 4-1-1, Nanaimo 6-1. On the road, Nanaimo's 1-4 with a tie and an OT loss. Maple Ridge 4-3, Victoria 4-3, New West 5-2. So whoever you are in the top 4, you want to try to get home floor. So then, as we know, the winner out of the WLA and the MSL, they will meet for the Man Cup, and I believe that is, I want to say that's out west this year. Or is that here on the East Coast this year, Gary?
Yes, it is.
The Man Cup is here?
Yes, it is. It's in the East Coast.
Okay.
The Minto Cup is in the West Coast, I believe, Edmonton. And this year, Man Cup is here, which is most likely in Peterborough, the way things are shaping up.
Yeah, the way things are going. But you never know. As we always said, playoffs are a different animal.
And it was last year, too. It was right down to the wire in all the playoff series. So anything is possible.
Yep. I don't know what kind of shape these players will be in when they come back from...
The lead is Canada right now, eh?
No, it's 10-10 right now.
10-10?
10-10, minute and a half to go. USA has the ball. So no doubt they're going to hold for a final shot. Because in the outdoor game international, there is no shot clock. Once stall warning is put, make that 11-10. Minute to go. We're able. Okay. I won't get too excited. But yeah, in international play, in the outdoor game, there is no shot clock. Once the stall warning is put on, they have to keep it inside the box. That's the one difference from the regular outdoor game for the professionals. For the stall warning, and they have the MLL, they have the shot clock going, 60-second shot clock. So, well, Gary, with that being said, what I talked to you about earlier, we'll wait to put that out. About what we're thinking of doing with the show coming up with the next lacrosse season.
That's down the road a bit. So.
Yeah, a little bit down the road. We've got a lot of things happening. You got, like I said, the draft. The expansion draft is tomorrow, 4:30, NLL.com. Yeah, if you can't watch it, I believe follow it on Twitter. Follow the at NLL Wings. You'll see the picks coming up through there. No doubt they'll even say who San Diego has picked. You can follow the San Diego Seals as well on Twitter. You see who's going to be picked. And for fun, make your own picks. Post them up on our Facebook page. Let's see who gets what. Just remember, you can only pick 2 players from each team, maximum. So if you're going to do that, do one team, or try to do both teams, but pick it fairly. Don't try to stack them, and do it how we do it. Look at it where the unrestricted free agents, that there's no guarantee of them signing with you. So, we just had a stick violation in the game.
Interesting.
Yeah, the ball did not come out of the stick when they held it upside down. And that was on Team USA. I wonder whose stick that was. Wow.
Down to the wire.
Yep. Gremlin, the Beast. Wow. All right. So with that being said, Gary, we'll end the show for this week. Next week we'll go over and see. We'll go over the picks, see who picked what, and see how the team is shaping out. See what's.
It'll be interesting because now there'll be players, so now we have something to talk about.
Yeah, there'll be something to talk about. We'll have the players on the team, the first 9 players for Philly and the first 10 for San Diego. As we know, as we mentioned before, they made a trade for Kyle Buchanan. So we'll get to see what happens there and see who gets picked, and maybe in the days to come after that there might even be a trade for a player, for those player that might be drafted for some draft picks. So we'll have to see what happens. And then 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 days of 15, so 19 days, almost 3 weeks from now, you're going to have free agent signings. So you're going to see a lot of address changes going on. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Again, this is just our mock draft. Everybody's out there doing them. Let's see what happens. Philly, San Diego, good luck in your selections. Let's see what players can change addresses. And until next week, we'll see everybody here behind the bench.